With the exam season fast approaching, I wanted to talk about the 5 big mistakes you should avoid before going for the exam. These are the critical mistakes that can either make or break your exam. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Basili, a full-time orthopedic surgeon and a faculty of orthopedics who teaches orthopedics all over the country. Now in this video, I want to talk about the 5 big mistakes you should be careful and avoid before going for the exam. Starting from number 5, not revising enough. As you're preparing and you reach towards the end of your preparation for an exam, you will come across stuff that is new. And when that happens, your initial instinct is to jump on it and try to learn everything you can about it. Now this happens because of 2 reasons. Number 1, it is new and so it is novel. So whenever you come across something unique and new, you assume that it is going to be critical and important for your exam. And if you know what it is, it will give you an advantage or an extra edge compared to your friends. And so this is how you will score better than others. The second reason why you hop on to learning new information is because it is interesting. And when something is interesting, it is fun to learn. So you keep on going deeper and deeper, seeking more information around that new fact that you just learned. Now, usually this is not a bad thing, but the problem is right before the exam, you end up wasting a lot of time. You disproportionately allocate a lot of time to this new piece of information, which leads to losing out on time that you could have used to revise the information that you already read and have a high chance of showing up on the exam. The outcome of this little maneuver can cost you heavily. You might be able to answer a few questions that are new and get those extra marks, but you will miss out on answering things that have been frequently asked and were easy to begin with, simply because you couldn't revise. Number 4, trying to revise too much. Now this is a problem on the other spectrum of revision. See, whenever we start revising, we expect ourselves to do exactly the same thing we did the first time around. We expect ourselves to have the same kind of satisfaction of completion and confidence of memory like we had when we were reading it for the first time. And this is a natural expectation, but it is extremely deceptive. See, when you were reading something for the first time, you gave it a lot of time to understand the nitty-gritty details. But the problem with revisions is you will not be able to give it the same amount of time. So while we are revising, because we are not giving it the same time, we assume that we have forgotten a lot of information, and so we feel frustrated. So in order to fight this frustration, we sit down and start to revise everything line by line, investing more time deeply reading the same thing again and again, trying to grasp it as much as we did the first time around. We think we are doing good revision, but in fact we are actually wasting our time. See, revisions are different from the first reading. When you start your revisions, you already have the basic framework of information. Now this might not be perfect, but it's still working knowledge for the questions that come for your exam. You have all the concepts and logics in place. You just need to sharpen the specifics. It's just like understanding a typical Bollywood movie. You know, there's a hero, a heroine, and a villain. The concept is almost the same, unless it's some Malayali movie, of course, which is always way ahead of their times. What I'm trying to say is that you already know the concept of the movie. You just need to focus on the specific details. So sir, how do we focus on the specific details when we are revising? Of course, this does not apply to people who underline and highlight everything they read. But for normal people like you and I, if you have underlined something and highlighted something, those are the things that you need to revise. So when I say revise cover to cover, I essentially mean revise the facts and the fundamentals that you have underlined and are unlikely to forget, not the grammar and the punctuation. At number 3, we have not giving grand tests. See, a lot of us feel demotivated when we see the grand test or mock exam scores, and so eventually down the line, we stop giving them because we don't want to feel demotivated just before the exam, right? Let me tell you that this is a very common mistake even toppers make and regret later. Grand tests or mock exams are not your enemy. It is a tool at your disposal. You should learn how to use it wisely. Grand tests, I feel, are a tool that exposes your weak areas, helping you realize what they are before you go for the exam. This allows you time to fix it. It's a tool that may demotivate you in the beginning, but will definitely help you avoid a lot of regret and pain later after the exam. So if you trust me, please understand that giving grand tests and mock exam is a part of this game. If you want to know more about how to go about it, watch this video that I have made over here and you will learn about it. At the number 2 spot, we have time management in the exam. This is probably the most painful mistake that most of us will make in the exam. If we are not careful enough in the exam, what will happen is the time will run out and you will be unable to finish the paper, which means you did not get the opportunity to read all the questions. And what if the questions that you could not read were from topics that you were very, very good at? How painful would that be? You read the topic very well, you revised it multiple times. If you had read the question, you would have gotten the answer correct, but you didn't because you couldn't read it. So how do you fix this time management in the exam? Number one, you need to start practicing more and more grand tests. This will improve your reading speed and help you pick up the keywords to help you answer the questions. And this is another reason why you should start giving grand tests yesterday. The second reason with which you can increase your speed is by letting go. Letting go of things without too much remorse. See, we all come across questions. By the time we start reading them, we get a feeling that this question is going to take a lot of time. वो feeling आ जाती है, right? And when you come across such questions, feel free to skip it and move forward. Finish the paper, and if time allows, come back to it later. This way you will be able to finish the whole paper, read all the questions and answer the ones you confidently know. And if time permits, come back to the questions you have skipped. And even if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Don't get too attached to the questions that you have skipped because you have answered the ones you could. This is like this small sacrifice that you have to make in order to complete reading the paper. Now, the number one mistake we can make for a high stakes exam is not using 100% of our brain. This is probably the most underrated yet the most expensive mistake any one of us can make, because this is one of those mistakes that will define your future. So what do I mean by not being able to use 100% of your brain in the exam? Let me give you an example. You have worked so hard for many months preparing very well for the exam. You have revised multiple times. You gave grand tests and mock exams and your score was gradually improving. But when you go for the exam, you see familiar questions from familiar topics yet do horrible mistakes and come out very sad. Tragic, isn't it? So why does this happen? This usually happens because we are not at our mental peak during the exam. And this is because we could not sleep well before the exam, either due to excessive anxiety or reading too much way late into the night, hence feeling groggy and disoriented in the exam hours. So what I'm trying to basically tell you here is that you need to have your peak performance mentally during the exam hours. So how do you fix this? All you need to do now is to start tweaking and fixing your sleep cycle. The key thing to do is to start now, because you cannot fix it just 1 or 2 days before the exam. The first thing to do is identify your exam timings. Once you know that, you plan your day around it in such a way that you are the most alert during the exam hours. So if you're a night owl or an early riser or an evening master, doesn't matter. What you need to do is be alert during the exam hours. Now, in order to achieve that, you may have to either sleep early or sleep late or change your schedule altogether. I don't care. Just do that, because you need to be on the peak performance of your brain during the exam. Because if you can't do that, trust me, all the hard work that you've been putting in for so long will be wasted. Now, if you have any more mistakes that you can think of, add it in the comments so it can help others. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and share this video with your friends who are going for the exam. If you have not already subscribed to this channel, consider subscribing. I enjoy making content like this for you guys. I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.